humbling intro. I don't know if I'm a piece of the puzzle. We have a pretty amazing team. We have some incredible people at New Zealand Cricket. I guess Andrew's, when he contacted me and asked if I would speak, I was a little bit apprehensive because standing in front of these stuff, even though I had to do quite a bit of it when I was studying, it's not my most comfortable place. But Andrew's very persuasive, and he's an important part of the cricket community. And as Andrew alluded to in setting the scene, if you like, as humans, we have an incredible ability to come together in times of adversity. Our resiliency kicks in, is what we say. But resiliency is a process. And the thing that's important to remember is, and then the reason why I'm standing here today is I want to get back a little bit, or give some insight into what we do to help the wider community. And it was really interesting talking to some of my friends here from Cambridge Partners, and they talk about a holistic approach to your needs as investors. And I think that's something that we all need to nourish in our own lives. And it's something that we really focus on heavily within cricket. Now, we do not get it all right. We have a lot to answer for in the women's game, still a work on. We're starting to get it right in the men's game, still a work on. But we're getting better. And what I want to talk to you about today is that as a unit, and you talk to any paleo, anthropologist or sociologist, and I've got some friends who are work in academic posts in these settings, and I explain what we try to do in a sports team, or you look at a high-functioning team in a business setting. We share very many similar characteristics of tribe. We share the same type of thing. But in today's world, with today's pressures, with pandemics, there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the individual. And what I want to talk to you about today is giving you a little bit of insight around the individual work that you may want to reflect on and think about. Because we are the sum of the parts. And we're only as strong as us as individuals as we are as a team. So what I'm going to cover off today is how New Zealand Cricket look at the performing south and the domains that we focus on. I want to talk a little bit about pressure and worry. I'm going to try and use some metaphors around how we conceptualise this based on psychological concepts. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about applying that in your own leadership, the own work that you need to do for yourselves. So let's get into it. So in cricket, we look at these three domains when we're developing, and this is not new, it's not something that we've dreamt up, but we're fierce about how we apply it to developing people and developing individual and players and teams. You have your personal functioning well-being, and that's sort of what I'm going to work with you a little bit around on today. We have our life space, and that's about the relationships we foster, we nourish, we cultivate, how we look after our children. And then we have our performance space, where I am right now, trying to perform my role in presenting something meaningful to you. And as we've seen previously before I came up on stage, there's been a high bar set about how they want to get across what's important for this business and for you as their wider family. Under pressure, our mind can be a little bit like an energetic board meeting. Who's been in an energetic board meeting? I have a couple of times. It's pretty exciting, especially when you're losing or getting thrashed at the MCG. Anyway, that's a different story. But what's really important is that our mind can be like this board meeting, and each of our emotions and thoughts are sort of represented by members of this board meeting, and they're standing up and they're yelling and they want their space to talk, and it can be anger, it can be fear, it can be frustration. The key part of it is, if you look at this from a psychological point of view, is it's not as easy as just telling that board member to sit down. Sometimes it's about working with it, and how we work with it is having awareness with it. And that's what is a critical piece that we do with our players and our people, is that be aware of what you're thinking and feeling. Because that's the first part. And at the moment, what we've seen is that the board members who are yelling is this board member of worry. And worry can be pretty debilitating. And a good working definition of worry is that, I'll leave that to you to read, but it's thinking about the future, uncertain events, occurrences, but its occurrence is uncertain. You don't know whether it's going to happen. You think too far in the future. And the work that we think about in this space is, one, understanding worry and being aware of it, and that's the first starting point. And then thinking about the compassion piece for you as an individual, and understanding that whatever you think or feel, it's yours, you own it, and worry is one of those things, it's your world, it's okay that you feel this way. And it's normal because it's normal for you. The thing is though, that's only the first part of it. We've actually got to do something about it. And it's really, really important that you do something about it if you are in the middle of haggling in a pressure situation, or you are trying to navigate a leadership meeting in the Black Caps environment. You need to be aware of what you're thinking and how we take care of that. And a metaphor, or an analogy that I use, which helps work through this, is this idea of the first and second art. And this is from the contemplative practices and traditions. We finished with a quote from the Dalai Lama. But obviously, there's some real links here between neuroscience and how the mind works. So the first art represents the initial emotional state. So I'll give you an example of this. I have two young kids, I have a 9 and a 5-year-old. They love their Lego. It's a great toy. And as the day comes to an end, I tell them to pack up their Lego with varied success. In the evening, they're asleep. I go and maybe just check on them, or I could be in the lounge and I'm walking around casually in bare feet. I stand on a piece of Lego. That's the first dart. You can imagine what goes through my head. The second dart is bloody kids. Why don't they pack up? Why don't they listen to me? This anger around the second dart. So the thing about being aware of our thoughts, being aware of the first dart, is the key part is creating some space between that. Being able to go, I feel this pain, I could react. If my kids are still awake, I may yell at them, but actually I need to take a breath before the second dart drives my behaviours, before it takes control of what I want to do. Now the same thing can happen for a cricketer, especially for fast bowlers who tend to be at the end of the batting order. Of course, they get peppered by our fast bouncers. Is they avoid a bouncer. Could be fear. The second dart, so that's the first dart. The second dart is, gosh, they might come at me again. What if I get hit? Oh, what about Phil Hughes? He died from a bouncer. Oh, these are real thoughts and feelings that people feel. The key part is understanding, how do I break that second dart having an effect on me? Because the second dart can drive our behaviours, and in a dysfunctional way. So one of the things that we use, and actually this metaphor is from, I actually got this from Ross Taylor. It's not my metaphor, so I need to reference Ross on this. But one of the things that he uses is this idea of being caught in a hurricane. And the thing about when you have that reaction of worry or fear or frustration, There's a whole lot of stuff, and this is how players describe it as well. There's a whole lot of stuff swirling in this hurricane, distractions, stuff that we can get dragged into. We get dragged into this whirlpool. But one of the things that Ross told me one time is the important piece is that you can't change the swirl of the hurricane, but if you stand into the middle of it and you look up, you see blue sky, and you're able to take a moment to breathe, and you're able to take a moment to connect with what is important. And he's talked about this in the media, so I'm not breaking confidence here, but and that's a really neat way to conceptualise it and something that people can connect with. Because I could talk about all the psychological concepts in the world, but having a metaphor to pull this together is really, really helpful. So you have the first dart, the second dart's close behind, and it might hit you, and then you feel the swirl, and it's spinning. It's about accepting this moment of unease, this distraction, and breathing, and finding a way to step into the middle of the eye of the storm, and perhaps even looking up. That's the first part of it. This is about how we manage our mindsets, it's about how we manage our mind. The thing about it, though, is that when we're in the middle, what do? We breathe, we compose ourselves, we need to make a choice. And one of the things, and this is based on a Native Indian fable, is we have a choice and we have to choose what wolf we feed. And the story of this Native Indian story comes from Native Indian elder was watching a young boy who was always angry and always fighting and always driven by promoting himself within the tribe. Sounds like workplaces sometimes. The Indian elder pulled him aside and said to this young boy, he said, look, there's two wolves in the human psyche. And you have one wolf which is driven by ego, hate, desire, craving. You have the other one which is driven by calmness, learning, love, selflessness, family. And they're always fighting these two wolves. And he leaves the story, and the young boy goes, well, which wolf wins? And the wolf that wins is the wolf you choose to feed. So you have to make this choice about which way do I want to go. And that's about understanding what's most important for you in this moment. So if you are worried, if you are concerned about whether there's a bounce coming through or whether you're going to get sick from COVID, worrying about stuff which has an uncertain, where there's some uncertainty. It's about stepping back, finding the middle of the storm, and thinking about which wolf you're going to choose. And we make a choice based on what's important to us, and we have this idea of the choice point. And the choice point is simply doing what matters right here, right now to move yourself closer to your goals, doing the stuff that's important for you. Not too many people want to make a choice to take themselves further away from their goals. Not too many of them want to feed the bad wolf. Sometimes they do. Or sometimes, as I have players say to me sometimes, the bad wolf is getting pretty obese because I'm making choices which are taking me away from my goal. It's about how do we bring ourselves back to centre, back to this choice point, back to this clarity of the hurricane, and then making a choice about what's going to move us closer. So what's important right here, right now, to move me closer to the life that I want? That's a simple question. Now, that can be framed right here when you're having a dispute with a relationship or someone at home, or it can be used in the middle of a test match when you're trying to chase down a total in the last day. It has applicability. Depending on our context and depending on what we're trying to achieve, we choose things which will move us closer to our goals and the life that we want to live. Best bit of advice ever given, figure out what you care about and then care about it to move yourself closer to the life that you want to live. So, all of this is great, and now I need you to do a little bit of work. I need you to make a friend with the person in the audience. one of the big competencies that we've identified, especially through this COVID world, is this leadership. We've always known leadership's important, but as with anything, pressure, tough environments reveals character versus, and it builds character, but it tends to reveal the character of the people. And the ones who have worked on this stuff and have developed this stuff, this idea of leading self, leading others, leading their relationships skillfully, are the ones who are navigating this world really well at the moment, whether they're stuck in 2 weeks isolation, whether they are playing a game over in Australia, whether they are training by themselves in lockdown because they're unable to train with their teammates. The ones who have this ability to lead self are leading others and are leading their relationships meaningfully. But the key part of this is they still need to know what's important. They still need to know what's important to lead self. What's going to move me closer to leading the life that I want to live? What's going to move me closer to leading others if I have a role? I have eight staff who report to me. How am I going to successfully lead them in a way which helps them? And how do I want to lead my relationships? So what I need you to do now is I want you to think about some of these concepts that I've covered off today. The first and second dart, the wolf, the hurricane, whatever you think, what you can most relate to. And I want you to make a friend with the person beside you. And I want you to think about and talk to them about what's important for you to focus on in leading yourself, leading others, leading relationships over the next 6 to 12 months. Have a moment, and then we'll hear back and have some ideas. Hopefully some people are comfortable and sharing their ideas. So have a chat with the person beside you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I have someone to volunteer what's important to them for them to lead over the next period of time. Just shout it out. There's no wrong.
We don't need to lead.
Know your group, right? Know your group.
You've got a bunch of us who are retired and said pretty much the same thing. With our friends and family and our health that are important.
Yeah, that's connectedness.
And staying safe at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's leading self, right? Leading your family. Really important. Really, really important. Anyone else? Yes, up the back there.
I'm a Zumba instructor, so I lead the people not just in dance, but there's a lot of different ways that they learn from me and learn from the others around them. So
yeah, creating their own environment for them.
Absolutely.
Incredible. Anyone else? Yes, up front.
Mine's to skillfully lead an EQC team through having to go through a rebuild or repairs 10 years later. And I have to go through it all over again.
Wow. What's important for you to concentrate on?
Important is me not losing my shit with them.
Let me know what the answer is to that. Anyone else want to share? Keep talking about it over a cup of tea. I'll be around. If you want to ask me any questions about the presentation, please feel free to come over and chat to me. And thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Great.
And see you.